Hi everybody, this is Anamika and this is my first video message. I'm trying it out, so I hope it really works well. I'm going to talk about choices today. A lot of us feel that we do not always have a choice. So I'm going to try and break it down a little bit for you all. So let's begin with what really is a choice. A choice is our ability or willingness to make a decision or take a decision, right? Let's talk about options and choices. Simple example, we go for some shopping, we pick up some dresses to buy. I have 3-4 options that I can choose from. I narrow it down to, let's say, 2, and then I look at my budget and I say, I have to buy just one, it's out of my budget. And at the end of the day, when I'm looking at that, it's still a little above my budget, and now I have to make a choice whether I should buy or should not buy. Now remember, I have just one option left. There's only one single dress that I really liked, and I have to now decide whether I should buy it or not. Now, always remember, I may have lesser options like in the example, but I will always have a choice. And we also need to remember that every choice that we make comes with a consequence. It can be a good consequence or a bad consequence. So let's say I choose to buy that dress. The consequence that may follow is because it's out of my budget, so I may feel that, hey, I have to cut corners for a week or so, or maybe a month or so, right? Or a positive consequence can also happen. It may, kind of just make me look really great about myself, make me feel very great about myself, and it may just boost my morale or my confidence, okay? So any choice that we are making will always have a consequence. So when we say that we don't have a choice, we are really saying that I am not confident enough, or I am not sure enough to make this choice because I don't know if I can handle that consequence or not, right? So that is where when we say that I don't have a choice. But let's believe and let's understand that we actually have a choice. We are making a choice by not making a choice also, right? So by not choosing to buy that dress also, I am making a choice still. Okay, so those are some basic things that I want to talk about. First, we always have a choice. Second is that we may have lesser options, but we will still have a choice whether to choose that option or to not choose that option. Third, every choice comes with a consequence. It can be a good consequence or a bad consequence. The power of choice is about knowing these 3 things and understanding and accepting the consequences that follow. Now, why is it so important to know about the power of choice? Always remember, until and unless you know that you have that power, you can't use it. So it's very important for you to know. How is it going to help you? The more you know that you always have a choice, and there is a consequence that follows with every choice that you make, you're going to be very conscious about your choices. You're going to be very carefully making decisions, making choices. You're going to be evaluating the consequences. You're going to think about the pros and the cons and the short term and the long term impacts of these choices that you make. That in long term is going to help you improve your decision making ability. That's the first thing. Second, the more you know that these choices are made by you, you begin owning the consequences. And the more you own the consequences, whether it is good, whether it is bad, you tend to detach yourself from the victim mentality, where you feel that, hey, everything that's happening bad in your life is happening because of somebody else. And everything that's happening because of somebody else is not something that you change. Only when something is happening because of you is when you can change it, right? So it's very important for you to own it, and to be able to own it easier, faster, it's important for you to know and acknowledge the power of choice. This also reduces your dependability. I'll talk more about dependability and the requirement for us to seek and yearn for external approvals. I'll talk more about that later in another video, or maybe I'll write about it. But it does, knowing the power of choice and accepting and acknowledging and using this power consistently day after day also reduces your dependability on others. And as your dependability reduces, as you begin to become more independent, independent is not about being financially independent, emotionally independent. No, independent is about when you don't need external approvals to make smaller choices. You may take opinions from people, but the decision still happens to be yours, right? So that is real independence. And even when the decision goes wrong, you don't blame anybody else. You sit back, you evaluate what went wrong, why did you make that decision, what was your frame of mind when you made that decision, and then you learn from that and you ensure that you're not repeating those mistakes next time, right? So you become more independent. That increases your self-confidence, and it also allows you to interpret and introspect on the incorrect or ineffective choices that you may have made, right? So to sum it up all, like I said, this video was more about very foundational and fundamental elements of choices. One, we always have a choice. Please remember that, and I really hope that you all start believing and practicing it. It has immense powers, believe me, right? That changed my life 180 degrees, okay? So please know that you always have a choice. You may have lesser options, but you will always have a choice. Third, every choice comes with a consequence, and we will need to own that consequence. Knowing the power of choices, knowing and accepting the consequences that come along with these choices is going to, one, increase our increase and improve our ability to make decisions, because we're going to be very careful about making choices then. It's going to reduce dependability, it's going to increase ownership, it's going to increase my independence, my self-confidence, and then it is also going to allow you to learn a lot about your own self by introspecting on the kind of choices that you're making, good or bad, and it's going to help you only improve and grow as an individual, as a person. Thank you so much for watching. Do share your comments, do share your opinions about what do you think about having choices, and how are you going to apply what we have just spoken about. Thank you so much. Love you all. Lots of gratitude. See ya.